Tropical development potential in our area on the rise for the week ahead. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi everyone, Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. Nice to see you on a Friday. I hope you're doing well. Coming up in this video, we're going to talk about the showers and storms on this Friday, the heat that's going to be going along with it, the Saharan dust that'll be playing a factor in our weather for this weekend, and this yellow area, which is now the development area from the Hurricane Center, from that tropical wave we've been talking about the last several days. We'll talk about this and the potential impacts it could bring as we get late into next week. As we get this video started on this Friday, I'd love to hear from you guys. Thanks again for supporting the Meteo Mundo community, letting us know where you're viewing from, what the weather has been like. Really appreciate that. Helps me out as well. So you're looking at our enhanced satellite imagery. You're looking at the live lightning data here at Meteo Mundo. Let's talk about the stormy weather in some of our areas here on this Friday. We'll kick it off with our friends in the Bahamas. Scattered showers and storms continuing to develop at the hour right now. We've had a few storms towards Abaco and Andros and Eleuthera. Throw on the radar data here, and you can see again, they've been very spotty in nature. We mentioned this in the last couple of videos here, where what I expected was kind of heat of the day storms getting going right now. We've had a couple. They've been very, very tiny, but they've been producing some very heavy rainfall towards Freeport and Lucaya and High Rock and Weston there across Grand Bahama. Walker's Key kind of drifting up to the north. There's not a lot of movement. They're trying to drift west, if anything else. But again, the opportunity for a couple of showers and storms there. Again, heavy rainfall is likely. I'm just going to drop that yellow area again. We'll talk a lot more about this. As I've mentioned in previous videos as well, we have this very broad upper level spin that's sitting just off of the eastern side of the Bahamas. Now, earlier today, it really brought some pretty good thunderstorms to the southeast portions of the Bahamas and portions of the Turks and Caicos as well. But, you know, places like Cat Island and Exuma and San Salvador and Rum Key and the Acklands got hammered pretty good. And there are still a few storms at the hour right now. Look at those storms developing right now. Take a look at that kind of really prolific activity over Long Island, right into Cat Island at the hour. Look at all of the lightning strikes. Watch that lightning count go up. You know, over 200 lightning strikes in a 15-minute time span from time. So it's been pretty active weather here across the Bahamas. Now you get farther south and the storms once again are developing in a very numerous nature again across portions of Cuba, mainly the eastern sides of Cuba right now. You can really see this broad spin. It comes all the way down into the northwest Caribbean and then swings back to the east of the Bahamas. Now, on the eastern side of this, it's fighting the Saharan dust, which is why the thunderstorms are not as prolific over Hispaniola at the hour. And even portions of Jamaica have been relatively dry. Again, my presets will pop on this yellow. I'll knock them back off. But again, I was hoping for a few more thunderstorms across Jamaica at the hour. Now, because we haven't had a lot of rain as of yet, these are feels like temperatures up to 114 in Kingston. That's mid 40s Celsius, extremely hot, humid conditions. I'll throw on the visible satellite imagery and you can see again, we've had a little bit more concentration of some storms on the western side of the island here. We've had at least a few clouds skirt their way by, but as far as getting anything extremely active here, not really seeing it at this point in time. So we'll monitor the situation. Still expect there to be a few storms developing late on this Friday and Friday evening across the island. My friends in Jamaica, let me know how it's been going, but obviously all of you have seen the heat and a few of you have seen the storms. A little bit better chance right now. Places like Negril, Lucy, Savannah, Lamar, Cambridge, Montego Bay, Black River, Treasure Beach, not as much rain, although we see a little bit of a lightning strike there towards Morant Bay at the hour. We've been mainly dry through Grand Cayman, but we're trying to get a couple of showers earlier, drift right over Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Those storms moved off towards the west, missed Grand Cayman, so it's been hot with feels like temperature there. They are above 100 degrees. Again, the yellow area will pop on as I have my presets. All I got to do is knock those out real quick. Now again, here in Hispaniola, there is a little bit of drier air. When I throw on the water vapor imagery here, there's a little bit of moisture coming back over the island from this area right here, but it's just not as prominent as it goes over Haiti and the Dominican Republic at the hour. Doesn't mean we're not going to get some showers and storms here. They're just going to be a little bit more spotty in nature, relatively speaking. So kind of some cloud coverage for today, right? If nothing else. And when I throw back on the feels like temperatures here, you're going to notice it's pretty hot because that veil of clouds actually just traps in all the low-level moisture, and it actually makes it for a pretty hot day. So despite the fact that we haven't had a lot of rain in Puerto Plata, Santo Domingo, Port-au-Prince, Lacai, Punta Cana, with this kind of veil of clouds and this moisture coming across to the mid-levels, feels like temperatures right now, 105, 110 Fahrenheit in a lot of spots. It's been dry through Puerto Rico and the U.S. and the British Virgin Islands. They're dealing with even more Saharan dust for today. We mentioned this, I mentioned it in yesterday's video. Didn't expect there to be a lot of rain in this area, if anything, and that's what we're seeing right now. San Juan's feels like temperature hit 110 for a time. Same thing towards the Fajardo area. It's been very hot in St. John and St. Thomas and St. Croix there. 105 at least for a feels like temperature in the afternoon. Even Road Town there in Tortola, it's been exceptionally hot. And again, not a lot in the way of any real rain chance for us here. When I go back over to the water vapor imagery, again, the reds are indicative of drier air. And you can see how that's really set in just over Puerto Rico, but certainly the Virgin Islands and then all of the Lesser Antilles. This Saharan dust is a huge factor right now, and it has really limited the opportunity for any rain. So feels like numbers at the hour from Anguilla to Antigua, Barbuda, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, Martinique, all of the areas, Barbados, Bridgetown 105. Look how hot it's been in Grenada and Trinidad and Tobago. We hit nearly 110. Trying to get a storm on the far western sides of Trinidad. A few more storms over portions of South America for today. Guyana and Suriname and Venezuela. Very hot right now in Nueva Esparta. Feels like temperature around 105. Maybe a little bit in the way of some rain for Aruba earlier in the day. That's great news. You can see that green, that moisture content in the atmosphere, and you see their temperature drop. It's been dry at least through most of Curacao, but a passing shower is possible. Same situation for Bonaire. Again, doesn't mean the entire island is going to get some rain, but that opportunity is going to be there at least in a little bit of ways. Now, again, on the broad perspective, back out to this visible and infrared imagery in a row, we can see that the easterlies are still quite strong. It's going to be interesting as well whether that feature can get up towards Lacai and portions of Haiti as well. When I go over to the wind gusts, again, still a factor. We talked about the easterlies being extremely strong, 25, 30 miles an hour from time to time throughout the Caribbean. Then we just follow this moisture west, and it is still a very, very active day through Central America, mainly off the coastline right now, but they're beginning to build in along the Caribbean coast and then work their way inland. So Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, up towards Honduras, storms are becoming more prolific in nature at the hour. And again, they'll be spotty in some areas, but heavy rain, lightning coming along for the ride. Roatan's been dry so far for today. A little bit of thunderstorm activity towards portions of Guatemala. And then the storms become a little bit more prolific, developing at the hour. San Ignacio, Belmopan, Dangriga, Belize City, Orange Walk, Chechemal, up towards Tulum, inland areas of the Yucatan as well. Still relatively dry for Cancun and Cozumel. A lot of this activity has developed inland in the Yucatan and actually has pushed its way west. Today, it's actually developing and then lifting off towards the north. So this is the broad perspective of what's happening right now. Obviously, we're going to get into a lot of details about this tropical wave. This is the wave that I've been talking about the last several days for potential tropical development late next week. The Hurricane Center has now highlighted this area in yellow for that development region. It begins east of the Lesser Antilles and then goes through the Lesser Antilles, the Greater Antilles, potentially towards the Turks and Caicos, Cuba, Jamaica, and the Bahamas, although there's not a lot in the way of certainty with all this. We're going to get deep into that coming up in just a couple of minutes. First thing, if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button for me, I really do appreciate it. It helps me out a lot here at Meteo Mundo. Thank you for subscribing. If you want your latest daily forecasts across the Caribbean and the Bahamas, and of course all the tropical updates across the Atlantic Basin, hit that subscribe button right now. Thank you for sharing this with your family and friends. Anyone who you think would get something out of this, especially again as the tropics looks to heat up as we get into August. And thank you for finding ways to support the channel, the memberships, the super thanks, the PayPal, the Venmo in the description below as well. So first things first, we're going to talk about the rain chance chance island by island over the next few days, and then we're going to deep dive into that tropical wave and how that could develop as it gets closer to our area. So once again, I'm going to take off this yellow area because, again, it is a little bit much here if we're not talking about it specifically. So let's get into what's going to be happening here over the next several days. And I do have your island by island rain chance coming up as well. So we are still going to continue to see relatively dry air on the eastern sides of our area. Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, all of the Lesser Antilles. Rain chances will be relatively low the next few days. In a general sense, the farther west that we go, the quality of moisture is going to be better and the rain opportunities will be higher. Mainly talking about Central America, portions of the southern Yucatan, the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, Cuba, maybe portions of Hispaniola, and then spottier rain for places like the Turks and the Caicos and the Bahamas. That's kind of the general gist. Even Bermuda will finally get into a little bit better rain chance as we get into early next week, as this system coming off the United States East Coast will bring them a little bit better opportunity for some showers. So as we get into a little bit closer, again, over the next couple of days, as we get into Saturday, as we get into Sunday, strong easterlies will persist, but not a lot of rain until we start to see the emergence of some moisture coming back into this area. And I'll show you the GFS model coming up here as we get into Monday. So Trinidad, Tobago, Grenada, and again, I'll show you the GFS coming up, Nueva Esparta, better rain chances early next week. Now we get north of here, and still, Barbados will have some passing showers, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia, Martinique, but it's going to be really isolated and they're going to be fast moving showers. So Antigua and Barbuda and Anguilla, St. Bartholomew, Saba, St. Kitts and Nevis, and Montserrat, Guadeloupe, those areas, again, brief passing showers. The haze and the heat will be the bigger story over the next few days. I'm not sure we're going to get a lot of rain across the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico over the weekend. Might be very late Sunday or Monday that we finally start to see that dust move away, pull away, and as it does so, the moisture will begin to return and we'll see some spotty showers. But it's been excruciatingly hot because of the haze, and my friends in places like San Juan and Ponce are going to have to prepare for that as well. Same thing for St. Thomas, St. Croix, and St. John. And again, for our friends in Hispaniola, relatively dry Saturday, Sunday. There's just a little bit better moisture over here, at least at this point in time. So going to up the rain chance slightly compared to Puerto Rico. That being said, don't expect a lot of rain over the weekend. Better rain chances here for Santo Domingo, Punta Cana, Port-au-Prince as we get into our Monday. For the Turks and the Caicos and most of the Bahamas, it is going to be these showers developing with the heat of the day. This feature that has brought the rain, and you can see that spiraling, does begin to pull away. It almost kind of begins to get eaten up, if you will, by this system pulling off the United States East Coast, and that's what's going to bring Bermuda its rain chances. So the influence in bringing even some morning showers and storms to the Bahamas should begin to fade starting tomorrow. But on the northern extent of this, and I mentioned this in yesterday's video, places like Walker's Key and Grand Bahama and Abaco and Bimini might catch a better chance for storms late Sunday and into Monday as this system actually drops to the south, which is relatively unusual for us here as we roll into late July. Even though the model doesn't show it, still expecting some good storms across Cuba over the next several days. Again, they're more kind of localized features. We're still going to have a good chance for rain overall in Jamaica. I know we haven't had a ton of rain and storms for today, but expect that opportunity to still be relatively high for Montego Bay and Kingston, Portmore, and Spanish Town. And I appreciate all my friends in Jamaica. Let me know what's going on. We didn't have a ton of rain in Kingston yesterday, but we had some heavier rain out west. Hopefully we can flip-flop that and get some areas that have been dry the last several days, better rain over the weekend. But the rain chance will remain high. Same thing for the Cayman Islands, right? We're still going to have high quality of moisture, decent opportunity for showers and storms over the weekend, and our wettest areas are still going to be Central America. We still have this broad spin, and you can see that wrapping around that east wind, throwing in a lot of rain to Belize and Guatemala and Honduras and Nicaragua and Costa Rica and Panama as well. And then up towards the Yucatan, slightly drier air. So it's just spottier in nature, especially Cancun and Cozumel. They've really avoided a lot of the rain lately. And overall, I do expect that kind of to be the trend over the next several days as well. Now, One thing that's going to be pretty prominent is the strong easterlies, as I've mentioned. So we're going to continue to see surf and sea conditions pretty kicked up here, especially throughout the eastern sides of the Bahamas. You're going to see some greens and blues there. That's 7, 8, 9 foot waves, just really fresh winds. Places like the ABC Islands have had some very strong winds lately, and that will continue as well. So that will be a factor over the weekend if you have any boating interests. Again, 20 to 30 mile an hour winds in a lot of areas is not out of the question. Okay, breaking down the rain chance in your area over the next few days. For the Northwest Bahamas, 30% chance tomorrow, slightly better chance Sunday and Monday. Again, the system coming out of the north with a better chance for rain. We could get some very heavy rain in the central and the southeast Bahamas over the weekend, but it is going to be isolated in nature, about a 30% chance. Same thing for the Turks and Caicos. Cuba's rain chances staying high. Cayman Islands rain chances increasing, looking pretty good through Monday. Belize will have a good chance for rain tomorrow, still elevated Sunday, slightly drier Monday, but again, a relatively wet 3-day forecast where Cancun and Cozumel just gets the isolated variety. Jamaica's rain chances, 60% chance over the weekend. If you need some, I hope you get some friends there. 40% chance on Monday. Dominican Republic, again, not as much rain tomorrow. Just like today, the haze, the Saharan dust is the bigger factor. Better rain chances Sunday and Monday. Puerto Rico, 20% chance at best. And I think I'm really stretching it, making it a 20% chance. A lot of dry hours and locations. Puerto Rico for tomorrow, back up to a 50% chance on Sunday and Monday. By the way, the rain chances in the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. and British Virgin Islands for Sunday should be fairly late in the day. A lot of Sunday will be dominated by dry weather. The very high feels like temperatures in the Saharan dust. Bermuda's rain chances go up again Sunday and into Monday. Anguilla, 30% chance tomorrow, 40 on Sunday, 30 on Monday. St. Kitts and Nevis right around that same number. And that's what you're going to see through the islands. Antigua, Barbuda, Montserrat, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's about a 30 to a 40% chance right on through Monday. What that means is there's going to be spotty showers. Nothing is going to be concentrated. They're going to be fast moving rain. So no flood issues here. But again, if you catch a downpour to cool things off, consider yourselves pretty lucky. I expect it to be even drier in Barbados, but rain chances should begin to improve there on Monday. Same thing for Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago. Again, a spotty shower is possible over the weekend, but a better chance with that next area coming in on Monday. Suriname, Guyana, 30 to 40% chance over the weekend, up to a 60% chance on Monday. Nueva Esparta, relatively dry over the weekend. And the ABC Islands right now only getting about a 20% chance for showers. Okay, so I mentioned that I'm going to show you the GFS model. I'm going to do that right now, and then we're going to get into the meat and the potatoes of this area in yellow. So let me fire up the GFS. And again, if you have not had an opportunity, really appreciate hitting that like button for me right now. So the reason why I showed you the NAM is I just believe that that one has a better handle of what's happening on the here and the now. Now the GFS is a global model, so we can look at everything. First of all, I want you to notice again for Trinidad and Tobago, this is an area that the NAM model cuts off. Again, the weekend, 27, 28, it's relatively dry. Here we go on Monday. Better rain chances right there. Same thing for South America. Even a little bit farther north, the GFS actually keeps places like Barbados and St. Lucia even drier. But for my friends in Trinidad and Tobago, hopefully late Sunday, Monday, you catch a better opportunity for rain. Now, this wave looks wholly unimpressive right now, especially on the GFS model, right? Okay, you can kind of see that working its way in. Now, again, the GFS model has had a very weak signal, if anything, about this developing. But the Hurricane Center saw enough, especially from the European model, of potential development. We'll get back to the GFS model in just a minute and look at a couple of different things. Let's first of all talk about why we could actually get tropical development. The Saharan dust has really been a big factor in limiting the waves in the Atlantic main development region from actually beginning to develop, okay? That Saharan dust is still a huge factor in the short term. But if you take a look at what's happening now, and then we go out in time, watch this next area of Saharan dust early next week begin to fade very quickly. And then behind it, there's not nearly as much early into the beginning of August. That's one of the bigger trends. The Saharan dust is going to disperse. It's not going to be as prominent in the Atlantic starting basically a week from now, and that should allow these waves to develop faster and more prominently here as we get deeper into August. That's one big pattern change that I've been looking at, and you can see very clearly that the model is picking up on the dispersal of that Sahara dust early next week. So we get into the European model. What does it look like right now? Okay. Well, the last couple of model runs, it was more prominent and a little bit closer to Florida and the Bahamas. This time on the 12Z run today, it's not nearly as strong. The signal is weak and it's farther off towards the west. And one reason why it would be weaker is that if it does move across Hispaniola and Cuba and Jamaica as just a disturbance, nothing developed, it's a little bit less of a chance to develop in the Northwest Caribbean. The conditions are not as favorable. First of all, it's going over a lot more land mass. And then the conditions overall in the Northwest Caribbean just aren't as favorable if it stays up in this area here or even gets into the Gulf of Mexico. But there still is a signal on the European model for development. And that's one reason why the Hurricane Center has this 20% chance yellow area. When we look at the ensemble members, and that was the deterministic, that was the one solid year model run in the European, meaning that the one that you would see as a deterministic for evaluating things, there are 50 ensemble members, and we can see all of those. Now, several of them do have developing tropical systems, okay? The dispersal is still very widespread. Really, the deterministic is one of the farthest south and west. Most of the ensemble members still take it closer to the Bahamas and the Straits of Florida. Some of them with some relatively strong storms in the Gulf of Mexico. Some of them with some relatively strong storms of the United States East Coast, okay? But there's not a lot of agreement with these. And these continue to flop back and forth, okay? So we can't really put a lot of weight into any one model run at this point in time. But just to show you that overall, the European model does have signals of this wave developing. So I'm going to let this run one more time. This is with wave number one, if you will. I do want you to notice that late in the period, there is the potential down towards the Lesser Antilles to have to watch out for maybe something else. Okay, not a lot of model or members are picking up on it, but it just shows you that the European model has flipped the pattern to a more active progression here early into August. As far as the GFS model goes, there's a weak signal in the same spot as the European model. That's the blue that you see here on the pressure anomaly. Yesterday's model runs had nothing. The GFS model picks up on a very weak system in the Northwest Caribbean. Again, time frame, this would be, I believe, very early on Saturday morning, very late Friday night of next week. So basically 7 days out from the recording of this video. So that's what it looks like. And again, when we look at it from what the Hurricane Center is talking about, they're just taking this wave, giving it, and let me just go back over to the actual satellite imagery here, and then we'll look at some other GFS information. They're just taking this, and they're giving it a 20% chance of development. Now, none of the models actually have it developing east of the Lesser Antilles, okay? So I'm slightly surprised that they have the yellow area this far east, but we'll see. Most of them try and develop it near Puerto Rico or Hispaniola or the Turks and the Caicos because it's still fighting that dry air for a long time. That is still going to be the limiting factor for us here. And if it goes farther to the west, it's going to be fighting even drier air longer, which is why the signals in the Northwest Caribbean are even weaker, okay? But again, this is still watch and wait mode in a very big way. But we'll have to see how this plays out over the next 7 days. So, you know I love to show you guys this GFS vorticity product. And let's take a look at this real quick. So I'm going to throw this on. We'll loop it up. Let's see here. I want to make sure I get all the way through. We'll go out to the third. How does that sound? Loop this up. Let me take off the 5 day here. And how did that work? All right, give me 1 second here, guys. I didn't want to do it over all that lightning data, so I apologize. Again, I have these presets. I hit the wrong preset. No big deal though. Should take just a half second to get it up and running. Okay, now it's up and running. Bye-bye to the area. So again, what we're looking at on this product is spin in the atmosphere. And we'll start to see we pick that up right there. Again, this is the GFS, the one that has not shown any potential development out of this wave. Well, it finally has a little bit of that signal, and we can see it in the northwest side of the Caribbean here as we get into next weekend. There it is right there, okay? Very, very weak though. Very, very weak overall. Still a pretty progressive pattern. Again, you can see the waves coming in. You can follow that one right over the Greater Antilles and then to the northwest side of the Caribbean. Very interesting feature here, by the way. That's what's going to bring some of that rain and then move its way up the United States East Coast. That's what brought the heavy storms to the Bahamas yesterday as well. So we pick it up on the GFS. And again, out here in the open Atlantic, another stronger wave coming in as well, right? Just we got to watch several of them working their way on through in a relatively progressive fashion. When we look at the winds, these are the wind vectors. When we look at these, this is going to just take a half second to load up as well, guys. On the GFS, you're not going to see it really kink up, right? We're not going to see something to point out and go, oh man, there we go. But what is going to happen? Those purples and those pinks, extremely strong easterlies will continue. And maybe they continue in such a strong fashion at the surface that that wave has a hard time. It's moving so fast. Can it find its own environment to slow down and really wrap up? Well, on the GFS, strong winds will be here. But even again, same time frame, same model as we get into August 1st. There it is, 2nd, 3rd. But is it prominent? No, not as of yet. But it's the first time the GFS model hints at a little bit of something right there. You can just see those kinks, right? The arrows aren't straight over Kingston and Grand Cayman towards the Yucatan. That's that system is trying to pick up on. Simple as that for right now. Rainfall-wise, it's going to be pretty wet through Central America up towards Belize, as I've already mentioned. Another maximum of rain is possible over the Leeward Islands, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, and the Dominican Republic. Not in the next few days, with that tropical wave coming in, okay? Right through this area, and we'll see if that has land interaction, or does it turn more north and east, okay? Stronger solutions are farther north and east, at least for right now. But we have plenty of time to monitor the situation. Again, still relatively dry for the ABC Islands, portions of the Lesser Antilles, not as much rain up north and west. But again, European model still paints on something for everyone. Friends, you know I appreciate you guys so much. You can find us across all of social media as I keep you up to date on that developing situation. Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook. You want to send me a picture or video, it's mymediamundo@gmail.com. Once again, thank you so much for liking this video. I really appreciate you helping me out in that way. Thank you for subscribing. If you have a specific question about the forecast, drop it in the comments section below. I'm happy to answer it. Friends, have a great rest of your Friday, and I'll be back soon with the latest information for you across our area right here at Meteo Mundo.